Hello, everybody. Very happy to have another young Indian with us, part of the Voice of the Young series. Right now, we have a young economist with us, Vandana Saini with us. Let's listen to Vandana. Over to you, Vandana.
Okay, hi guys. I'm Vandana. I am currently a third year doctoral student at IIM Bangalore. Previously, I have worked as an investment banker for three and a half years. And so that was quite a jump going from investment banking to academia, but I'm glad I made it. Uh, Apart from that, something about me, I grew up in the campus of BITS Pilani. My father works there. So most of my life, I have been like in around campus. So yeah. So yeah, I think a very small part of me wanted to do academia because of growing up in a campus environment, and I think that is something I look forward to in going ahead in my life, yeah, in future.
Okay, go ahead. It's your freedom. It's your turn to talk. Tell us anything you want to tell us.
So I think I would like to talk about like, how to, so I keep getting this from a lot of young students, like people who are still like completing their masters and all of that, like, how to choose between the two, like whether you should stick to a corporate job, whether you get paid handsomely, or you should go towards something like more research oriented, policy oriented, where the pay is obviously not as much as the industry is. But there's a lot to do there, and there's a lot of like, maybe like a real life work that you can see being done, because I think there's this inherent need of trying to do something good in a lot of people and a lot of young students, especially. But then that's like a like tough decision to make. So my personal suggestion has always been that one should go ahead, maybe work in an industry for a year, and you get that experience before you come to academia, because after coming to academia, then it is very difficult to go back to the industry because you have already lost a like I would not use the word loss, but you have already invested a significant of time doing the thing, which may not actually accumulate in the right way when you go back to the industry. So that is where I would always suggest that to young people who are like, because I see a lot of people joining academia right after their masters or like undergrad, like these days. My personal opinion is like go, do some job in the industry for a year, even if it is for 6 months. For some people, 6 months is enough, and year or 2 years, and then you come to academia. So you get a sense of both the worlds there uh, in that way. So it brings in like two things. One, you get an exposure. Second, it also because in when you are a college student, you certainly like you lack a lot of these things in how to be a professional when you come here. So a lot of younger people who come directly from college sometimes do not have that. Like now, of course, we have these chat GPT and everything to help you out. But apart from that, also like there are these other aspects on how to be in a more profession, like how to conduct you in a more professional environment, that would also help you. It would also help you like how to work in different dynamics. Once you go into an industry and work, you learn to like how to operate under different dynamics where everything is not like in college how it is, like a professor will tell you something and you have to do that. As a student, that is how it is. Like in PhD in academia, it is different. But when you're a student, that is how a professor will come and teach you, and you take care of those things. But when you are working, you are given a certain sort of responsibility. You are responsible for what you're delivering, like your deliverables in a way speak of your own quality. So those are certain kind of things I feel like they'll be very helpful if you work for a while and then you come to come join a PhD or academia as an. So for me, like when I worked as an investment banker, I worked there for 3 years, and that was very like that was very demanding in terms of like the time and commitment. And switching from there, like I wasn't sure myself that going from an very corporate environment to coming to academia again, because this is like a 5 year journey minimum when you come here to get this degree. So that is a very long term commitment. It's not like a job that you can quit in 6 months and I can switch, or maybe in a year I can switch. This is a long commitment, and I wanted to be sure. So one more thing that has really helped me cope with this journey that I'm in is that I worked as a research associate for a year before I took that decision. Okay, this is something I want to do, and this is something I'm passionate about, and this is something I can do in the long term in a more sustainable way in my life. Oh, so,
So hang on was there any particular moment or time or event that finalized, so to speak, the deal for you?
okay, that academia is the thing for me.
Yeah, that I should
Uh,
make this commitment to go to academia. Was it any one particular thing you said, okay, this is the final uh, final event, okay, I'm now sure. Was there such a time, or it was a gradual realization,
so
and
I
it
I
just
would say
evolved?
so it was, I think, growing gradually, that because when I was working as a research associate with two professors, Professor Shekhar and Kanika, it was growing gradually that I liked the work that I was doing. It was challenging enough. At the same time, it did require my commitment as well to the work. But I think, and it still has got to. So the best part for me joining the academia was that I really love attending these conferences and seminars which are there. So it's basically like there's a room full of people, like very intellectual people, and they're just sitting there and discussing ideas. And it's not like the one who is presenting is only the one who's responsible. They, of course, they have to defend it and everything, but they themselves are very open to the criticism and very open to the change in their own idea or in their own work that they are presenting. So attending those seminars while I was part of as a researcher there, while I was doing that project, that is something that is when I realized, okay, I really enjoy doing this, like sitting here with these people and discussing these ideas. And even when I'm not actively participating in those, but even listening to those conversations where they're trying to make a difference into the policy making, into the real life. Like, there were papers around like marriage market, there were papers around like, the women education, gender rules, all of those
Mm,
things. So
mm,
those kind of conversations, like in that room, in those seminar rooms, like they really pushed me to take that decision. Okay, this is something I want to do. This is something I'm very happy to
mm,
do.
mm.
And yeah, so that was the thing that pushed me to take this jump. Okay, I'm sure now I can do it.
Okay, so that's a generic decision. And did you
Mhm.
have any conditions for yourself? I'll do this, not just generically, specifically, if only this, or was it just that I'll take what I get?
No, so I had a very so I thought I had a very clear idea about what I wanted to do. So when I joined this program, I came with an idea that probably I wanted to work in development economics, and that is something that interested me as an onlooker, like from the ideas that was like
Mm,
exposed to and all of that. But once I joined the program here, so in IIM Bangalore specifically, and a lot of these IIMs, because it's a 5-year program, first 2 years is your coursework. So during that coursework, I was exposed to a whole different, like that is a whole different world that I was exposed to, like in terms of research, in terms of work, in terms of ideas. And that is where it was my first exposure to macroeconomics as a research. And that is how like I got interested in macro, and now my macroeconomics is something that I want to work in, macroeconomics, especially from a development point of view. So I think that this is one thing that you have to be like when you come to academia, you have to be very flexible around the work that you want to do, around the techniques that you want to use, the people you want to work with, because there's a lot of these things are always moving, and there's a lot of uncertainty that happens when you come to this field. So you have to learn to be okay with those kind of things. Okay, this might not go the way I wanted it to initially, but it's still okay. Like it's the whole idea is to get something out of it, which may have a policy implication at some point of time. It may not be immediate either. But yeah, that is the idea.
Okay, let me talk to you now as an economist to economist. Maybe not everybody
Hmm.
will enjoy it, but But isn't
Mhm.
macroeconomics a part of development economics?
It is, but so it is a part of development economics, of course. But what I specifically mean is that in macroeconomics, like the kind of techniques that people are using in macroeconomics as a research versus the kind of techniques which people are using in only the papers which are there, which are very like I'm talking about these very empirical kind of development economics where people are using regression and these other techniques versus the macro models that I am more interested in, which is the labor search models and all of those, and how they impact your outcomes and labor market outcomes and those development outcomes, those kind of things.
But the countries that have unsuccessful, I mean, they're not successful at macroeconomic stability. They are
Mm-hmm.
in big trouble. I mean, we see around India, in Sri Lanka, Pakistan, we see in many African countries
Mm-hmm.
macroeconomic instability. Okay. And
Mm-hmm.
in that macroeconomic instability, you cannot do anything in the sectors because you are really in big trouble. I give a personal example. We had way back in 1996, we had developed a very innovative solar rural program for Indonesia. Okay.
Okay.
And of
Mm-hmm.
course, the solar panels were imported as they are even now. And
Mm-hmm.
then the East Asian uh, exchange rate disaster hit us, and
Mm-hmm.
the exchange rate went from in Indonesia they call it rupiah. So 3,000,
Mm-hmm.
it was 1,000 rupiah to a dollar. It was then 3,000, and it was 10,000.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, obviously, at 10,000 rupiah to a dollar, the whole project was not viable anymore because you could
Yeah.
not import those panels at 10 times
Mm-hmm.
the local cost.
Yeah.
Okay. So the macroeconomic instability, which came not just from the country, but it was across East Asia. All right.
Mm-hmm.
That exchange rate debacle and the macroeconomic instability there was no way to ask the government to any more contribute the part that it had agreed to contribute because the budgets were completely stretched, having to subsidize the poor people
Mm-hmm.
because those incomes were exports were down income it was complete macroeconomic chaos at that time in East Asia, and you can't do anything on the ground. You can say, oh, I'm in development economics, but you are really being governed by the macroeconomic
Macro.
instability.
Yeah.
In India, we
Mm-hmm.
have had relative macroeconomic stability in recent years, though if you go back, one of the reasons for Indira Gandhi's imposition of emergency, which people don't really talk about in 1975, was the macroeconomic problems before that, which had created a feeling of unrest, which was politically sort of channeled by some people. I won't say exploited, channeled.
Mm-hmm.
But there was macroeconomic instability. And that instability was sort of giving the fertile ground for a political challenge. And she was, I would say the macroeconomic stability and successful accumulation of enough foreign exchange through whatever means in the country. Pakistan, you read, okay, they have 2 weeks of foreign exchange in the reserves. Well, you're not going anywhere with that. One Sri Lanka, you have 1 month. India, we have
Mm-hmm.
enough. It's quite a bit. So I would say that, look, the macroeconomic models, yes, they are quite different, but the practice of macroeconomics, successful
Mm-hmm.
macroeconomics, is quite important. And, all over the world, people are the macroeconomists running the central bank and others, fiscal policy, monetary policy, they are struggling with how to manage the balance between stimulation and inflation. It's the constant
Mhm. That
balance
is
you
true.
have to form.
Mhm.
But this is all econ talk. So I'm sorry to,
Mhm.
but you are a
Yep.
PhD economist. You are making a
Mhm.
choice of studying macroeconomics. So I just
Yeah.
thought I'll
Mhm.
chat with you. But go ahead. Let me stop.
Yeah,
Please go ahead.
I think like you're right about that because of course macroeconomic stability is very important
Yeah,
for any of these models to work. That environment has to be stable before we can like go ahead and do that.
yeah,
But yeah, as a researcher, when I was exposed to these techniques, that is something that I was lured into, and I really like that because that was something new for me. And yeah, that is something I'm trying to explore. I'm still I just finished my coursework like 2 months ago, and I'm just starting on to my research journey.
okay.
And yeah, there's a lot of, again, as I said, there's a lot of like, as I mentioned, like there has to be a lot of flexibility in terms of what you're trying to do and what you're trying
Hmm.
to achieve in the whole environment. But yeah, I do agree with you. But there's this new sort of like, so even in macroeconomics research, like now there's always this empirical section that has to be included where you show some on-ground data using some of these other techniques along with the model. So there has to be a model, but also there has to be this empirical part that has to be shown. It
Hmm.
cannot be all like your simulated models, like they are not the only ones that you can use. Like that is something that now people are like proposing and using in these newer research papers that I've read.
Okay. All right. So
Mhm.
please
Mhm.
continue. I've
Um,
talked more than enough. I never talk so much.
okay.
Hmm.
What else? What else do I want to talk about?
So where was
So
your
yeah,
undergraduate and all that? Tell us a bit about that.
okay. So as I said, so I grew up in the campus of Wits Pilani. My father works in Wits, so all my schooling and undergrad, everything had been from Birla schools and Wits only. So I grew up. So I always keep saying this to people, like I'm that. How you have control and treatment. I'm that control child, which has been raised in a very controlled environment. Like yeah, so yeah, so it was. So yeah, I grew up in the campus and yeah, so I did my MSc honors. It was an integrated degree in economics from Batsuni. It was a 4-year program. Uh, yeah, so one thing I liked about being part of its in the undergrad program was they offer you like a lot of flexibility. So even though my major was economics, I did a lot of courses in finance, which was something that I was interested in. I did a lot of these other subjects that are there, like so whether it's music, cinematic adaptation, whether you want to entrepreneurship, all of these other subjects were also there, and there was a lot of flexibility which that undergrad course, like undergrad degree, offered to me, which I feel had been like it has been very helpful for me. So there, so first, so since it was a four-year degree program, first 1 year is like combined. It is not very specific to economics. In the first year, you study there like your physics, chemistry, maths, bio, everything, like computer science, everything you did. So even though it's just an introductory, it gives you sort of an edge when you step out into the world. Like
Hmm.
if, whatever conversation it is happening, you may not be able to actively contribute to the conversation, but at least you can make some sense of whatever the conversation that is happening there. So I think that really helped me when I went to the corporate environment later on, or whenever I'm going out or I'm standing with people like that. That is something that has really helped. So that was my undergrad. Like, yeah, right after my undergrad, then I got like internship with JP Morgan in Mumbai. And yeah, so I was there for 3.5 years. I worked as an analyst there. I was more specifically, I was in the investment banking part of it, and we catered to these. I was part of a regional investment banking team, which was sector agnostic and which catered to the North American region there. And yeah, so my job was mainly to make these pitch books for mergers and acquisitions for IPO, like these decks and all of that, and do some sort of financial modeling. Like, so all of those that like I enjoyed doing my work. It was really like a good work. It was more demanding in terms of the time. like 14, 15, 16 hours per day. At that point of time, it was really hectic, but I still enjoyed the work that I was doing. And somehow, like, the firm hires the best people there. Like, I always had good company there. So I was exposed to a lot of good people around me, like good network. Like I got a chance to have like a really good network there.
Okay, wonderful.
Mhm.
Anything else you
Mhm.
want to tell us? It's all been very professional. Something about
Mhm.
you as a person.
I am I'm someone like who's I think I get interested in a lot of different things. So currently I'm learning Kathak. It's been 4 years. I started learning Kathak in 2020 after COVID. So why I quit my job was in the first place I started having health issues because of working too not having a proper timetable for way too long and having eaten like outside food for way too long, not taking care of my health. So I had a health issue back in 2019. So I sort of took a break for 6 months. And once I went back to it, I was more or less sure that okay, this is not something that I want to do for the rest of my life. That I had in my mind even before I joined the firm. But I liked the work, so that is why I continued there for so long. But yeah, then I decided, ki, okay, this is not something I want to do. So I came back. But because of that health issue, there was this certain time period where I was not able to walk properly. I was bedridden almost like for a month or so. But I always wanted to learn like dance form, some sort of dance form. So when I got well, at that time, COVID happened. So then I was like, oh shit, like, oh, I have not even learned dancing and now the world is going to end and all of that. So yeah, then I found a Kathak teacher online, my Guru Ashwati, and yeah, so I've continued since then. And because it is an online thing, I've been able to continue even when I was in Rajasthan or when I went to Chandigarh for a year or when I'm here in Bangalore, I've been able to like continue the dance form. So there are classes every Saturday, so I try to take out that dedicated time. So yeah, plus she is very patient. Like I'm very lucky, Tasha, to get such a good patient teacher. Like I have learned a lot about myself being in that class. Uh, Apart from that, I'm into theater. I like watching theater, like live theater plays. I so there is a theater place in Bangalore, Ranga Shankara. So yeah, they keep hosting these plays and like Hindi English plays. So I keep going to that. Uh, I I like painting. I was a fine art student in plus one, plus two. So yeah, I do that over the weekends. I love reading. So yeah. And because there's so much of non-fictional reading that I have to do as a part of my work, what I do like as a PhD student. So I try
Yeah.
to read a lot of fiction.
Hmm.
So yeah, so I think yeah, I'm interested, I think, in almost everything and anything, like anything that is not my work, I do go there. Ki, okay,
Okay.
let me do this today or that today. Yeah.
Okay, we have so many dance forms in India. So, did you choose Kathak after consideration, or you just happened to choose it?
I so before joining the job and everything, I did learn Bharatanatyam for maybe like 20 days. So I wouldn't really say I'm a Bharatanatyam student, but so it was more about who is available to teach me.
Okay.
Not specifically like I want to do this, but when I was in the campus in the Bits Pilani, there was this uh, like wife of some faculty who was teaching Bharatanatyam. So I did that like for 15, 20 days. I did that, and then
Yeah.
I got a job, so I had to move. So all of that
Right.
like got behind,
Yeah.
left behind, and then again when I looked for Bharatanatyam teachers around me when I was working in Mumbai. I was not able to find a Bharatanatyam teacher then. So then I
Hmm.
found a Kathak teacher. So then I joined her classes and then
Hmm.
again I had to move to US for a month or so. So again my classes were not continued. And then I fell sick. So when I joined back, I was looking for Kathak specifically. Then, okay, let me do Kathak.
Hmm.
Kathak is something. At
Hmm.
least I've learned some basics, so it will
Hmm.
be easier to like catch up. And plus, again, I was still recovering. Like I said, I was not able to walk and everything, so I
Hmm.
was still recovering. I didn't have a lot of strength at that point of
Hmm.
time,
Hmm.
so lost a lot of my flexibility. So yeah, so joining Kathak was. I felt it was much easier than Bharatanatyam. I thought so, but that's not the case.
No.
I thought so, but that's not the case.
No.
Yeah. So when I started doing it, I realized that's not the case. So yeah, it was. But yeah, it's been good. I recently performed like last month along with my teacher and my other like fellow students. We performed in Guruvayur in Kerala, in Thrissur. And yeah, so it's been going good now. Like yeah,
Okay.
I I, I enjoy being on stage. So
Okay. Anything
I
else
think
you want to add here?
uh, anything I like yeah I think in general like how people like I would want people to like so for me like while working I keep looking for these outlets which can make me feel like okay I'm still living my life and not just doing this like of course your career your work is a very important part of your life but one lesson that I learned after I fell sick was that I need my life to be more balanced and there's no like you always think like you can
Mm,
do it later once you find time you can learn later and all of those things so from this, what I learned is that you have to make time for it now only. Even if it is just like 30 minutes or 1 hour, make time for it. Like once a week, you can take out like 1 hour. Whatever hobby it is that you stop doing because of your work, uh, I would suggest people that they do take it up and do continue to do it. Like you can always find time. So I always used to complain I'm not finding time to read once I stepped out
mm,
of my college. Like I was
mm,
always like someone who stopped reading
mm,
completely.
mm.
But now I have made it a habit that before I start my day, after my breakfast and before I start my day, I read for 30 minutes.
Okay.
So that that sort of gives me and it does two things. One, it gives me that slow break that I need, 30 minutes. I whatever like fiction I'm reading, it creates that sort of okay, I can come back to it at night. No, I will pick up the book at night or I will pick it up next day at least because those 30 minutes does set you in the right
Mm,
sort of mood.
mm,
And yeah, I started now I started reading like so earlier you used to thought, okay, I'll read when I have time. I'll read it when I have an hour or 2 hours when I can just do sit and do that.
mm.
But now I can just be like waiting for like, for my friend to join me for lunch and we have 10 minutes. So
Yeah.
I'll get some reading done in that 10
Mm,
minutes. So you
mm,
have to find those
mm,
like small units of time to
mm.
inculcate that habit. So yeah, I would. I think I wish people would read more, so I have more people to discuss the stories that I'm
Ah,
reading. So
okay.
I'm always discussing. So even if I read 10 pages, I'll be discussing it with my friend. Okay, I read it this far, and this, all these things are happening in this.
Okay.
So,
Well, you have
so
so much
hmm,
experience. You have worked in Mumbai. You have been, I guess, I heard you say Chandigarh. You are in Bangalore. You've had a visit to
hmm,
the US,
hmm,
investment banker, academic. So
hmm.
boil it down as some messages for young people who are in their BA or MA, and let's see what they can get from
Hmm,
you.
hmm, hmm. So, so when I stepped out of my college, I'm someone who's a very sincere and a very hardworking person. And so when I joined the corporate environment, that there also I continued that. And I always believed if you keep doing the hard work, you will get what you want to do. Somewhere while working, I have realized that working hard is not enough, though it is very, very important. It is not enough. You do need to do some smart work also there. So it has to be smart work plus hard work. Only smart work also doesn't work. It has to be both. Again, like there has to be a good balance. So what I realized is that when you keep doing the smart work, it may like take you to the gate or it may take you to that position. But to stay there, you need to continuously do like you continuously need to learn and you continuously need to put in that hard work which is there.
Mm, mm,
So that is something I would suggest people. Personally believe that there are no shortcuts.
mm,
People might have gotten somewhere because of taking shortcuts, but I don't think like you can sustain there because of taking a shortcut. If you want to stay in a good position, in a good place in your life, or personal or professional, you need to continuously put in
mm.
efforts, however small or big they are, but it has to be a consistent and continuous effort, which will
Okay.
keep you in the good place.
I sometimes also have a feature called the final word. So the
Hmm,
final word is your message to the world, not to the young. I mean,
hmm,
you
hmm, hmm,
are well qualified by now, okay?
hmm,
Your
hmm,
lifestyle and life history and all that. and you're on the way. So what's your message to the world? What's the final word?
Find the balance. Find the balance in your personal life, in your professional life, in your health, everything. Find the balance. Like
Okay.
in person, yeah, like just find the balance. Like it can vary for everyone, like how
Mm,
much you put where, but
mm,
try to find that balance because in personal life, of course, there has to be effort, but also like smart work. In your
mm,
personal life, there has to be like fun times, but also like these other difficult conversations. If you need to have them. In your health, also, I would suggest like take out time for your health. Do that exercise. But at the end of the day, if you want to eat that pizza, go ahead eat that pizza. Just run a little. Go. Yeah. So just find the balance. Yeah. Don't be like too hard
okay.
on yourself. Find your own balance.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you,
Mhm.
Vandana. Let's end it here
Mhm.
today.
Okay.
Unless you
Sure.
have something else you want to add, but if not, then
Uh,
let's end it here.
mhm. Yeah, we can end it here.
Okay, and I'll please stay online. I
Mhm.
want to talk to you offline. So let's end it
Okay.
here today. Thank you so much. It
Sure.
was a real
Mhm.
pleasure to listen to a young fellow economist and a worldwide person who has so many things to
Mhm.
say. So thank you.
Mhm.
Let's end it here. Bye, everybody.
Yeah.
I'll be
Yeah.
back with another young person or an expert.